right on time and make it fast and down and dirty. Glad to see so many repeat faces. This is really wonderful. We've had so much interest in this. It's just really exciting. Now we want to keep the energy going. So our first
Yes.
presenter. If you'd introduce yourself and
Okay.
let us.
My name is Jeevan Goff. I'm with Lotus Energy. We're a solar and LED lighting installation company on Warren Street. And we've also worked a lot with water pumps using solar technology, which is often very efficient, and it's DC low voltage, so it's a lot safer than the current pumps that are being used for the 7th Street Park public fountain. So we were throwing around some ideas of improving the operation of the fountain and making it safer so that the fencing could be removed, so people that could actually wade in the fountain without any danger at all. So that's what I was going to show you. I just want to show you a little bit about our company first, for those of you that don't know a little bit about Lotus Energy. So I founded the company in Nepal, actually. 25 years ago. We had 120 employees, 10 branch offices in Nepal. We've done 42,000 solar installations in the Himalayas. So mostly battery-based systems, because everyone's off-grid. Of course, there's no power lines in that area. So this is like one of the monasteries that we installed. And we've also done some fairly famous installations. The highest hospital on Earth, on Mount Everest. We powered that system, which is where all the mountain expeditions go to get checked up before they go up on the mountain. We also did the IMAX film for the Everest film. We powered that expedition to the peak of the mountain. This is a solar water pumping project we did in Nepal. This is powering 3 large submersible pumps, similar to the ones in the fountain. But we don't need anything nearly this large for the 7th Street fountain. And then we've opened our offices here in New York and in Hudson, and we've done residences. We've done tracking pole farms like these here. This one actually is in Hudson, just outside of Hudson, on Blue Hill Road. And we do off-grid battery systems. So our expertise is in this type of low voltage equipment. If you look at the existing fountain setup, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a bunch of high voltage lighting, like a pool lighting, in the bottom of the fountain, and then there's a broken fountain head that's all cracked apart, and so it's just spraying water at random up in the air. There's no pattern. And there's also these 2 large pumps, which are 240 volts AC. I think they're about 2 horsepower each. And they're very expensive. They're $1,000 each, and they burn out if the pool runs dry. They burn out, so they have to be replaced already because it ran dry. So they're very expensive to operate. There's like a float, kind of like a toilet float valve that keeps the pool full, and there's an overflow. If the water gets too high in the pool from rain, it will overflow into the sewer system. So our recommendations would be to remove both of the large pumps, and also all of the lighting that you see that was in the way. So when people, if they did get in the pool and were wading around, they wouldn't be hitting their feet on these dangerous objects in the pool. So all that would be removed. We replaced the fountain nozzle with a more attractive spray, like a fixed pattern, that uses a lot less water also. And you can get the nozzles that have the LEDs built in so that it lights up the spray as it goes up. And then we would use the same DC pumps we use in solar. We would just need one pump, and that would power the fountain. Another option, if we don't want to use the pump, we can actually run the city water supply directly to the fountainhead, just like when you're taking a shower. You have the city water forcing the shower, the water through the shower head. So that would also work. Could use a lot more water, of course. It's something we could look into. And then, of course, installing the LED lighting around the nozzle. So there would only be low voltage DC in the pool. There would be nothing dangerous. And all the equipment would be there's a black box just sitting outside the fountain, and that's where all of our equipment would be inside there. So we did actually test a low voltage pump that we had in our office here on Green Street. So you can see it actually sprays up about 10 feet in the air. And I did some cost figures here. The DC pump is only 80 watts. The existing pumps that are in the pool are 3,600 watts. So it's a huge difference. So we're talking $5 a month versus $250 a month to run the existing. So it's a massive savings. The replacement pump for the DC is only $250. The replacement for the big AC pumps is $1,000 each. So there's a huge cost savings to the city by going this way. And then the lighting, these are some commercially available fountain nozzles with the lighting built into the nozzle. And they only draw about 6 watts for each LED bulb versus 120 watts for those big bulbs that are in there now. So I did all the savings calculations. They're spending about $84 a month to run the existing 10 lamps in there. Ours would only be $4 a month. So it's 20 times less.
Can you change the colors?
Yeah, you can change the colors. Yeah, see the different colors here in this picture? You can see there's reds and blues. It's totally changeable. And we were thinking maybe something interactive where kids could touch a big metal ball, and when they touch it, it would change the colors of the fountain. So it'd be a little more interactive.
Yeah.
That's possible. You can buy 2 different spray heads and have one like a geyser going straight up, and then a fountain like that.
What happens in winter?
In winter, they shut it down because it'll freeze. So they shut it down around November and leave the pumps in there. They just drain out. So the conclusion is they're spending about $2,000 now from a year, because it only runs for 6 months from May until November. So they're spending about $2,000 to run the existing setup, plus $1,000 to replace the pumps. Our cost per year would be $59. So if they use the city water and don't actually put a pump, but just drive the fountain directly from the city water pressure, then it would only be $25 a year to run the entire fountain, just for the lights.
Do you know how much it would cost to install that?
The pump itself is around $250, and we could probably work with the city employees to install it.
You'd have to do something within the fountain itself to make the lights recessed and.
Well, no, we would. The lights would be built into the fountain, the fountain nozzle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there's another option to put lights around that rim of the.
I guess maybe that's.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You can put them on the edge of the pool and then shine them this way, or you can just shine them straight up from the nozzle, which is a lot easier. So the end result is that the fence could be taken down, and there would be a saving of about $2,000 per year.
What about the installation?
The installation, we'd have to see, Ronnie, the foreman for the city.
Right,
I could work with him, and basically it's just running wires from the control box on the floor of the pool in a plastic pipe, and then cementing over that so that people won't trip on it when they're walking in the pool. So it's very simple to install it.
And do we need a solar panel?
No, you don't need a solar panel because there's already, even though we're using solar pumps, because there's already city power at the pool, we can just convert that down to 12 volts at the edge of the pool, so that only 12 volts is going into the pool.
And we get free the fountain for $250?
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yeah.
put in 50 right now. How much do I hear?
So I guess the other obstacles are, whether the city would want people walking in the fountain, if there's, insurance
Yeah.
or whatever.
We could check
But
that.
most public fountains, people, I was just in Montreal and there's hundreds of people walking through the fountains
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
Besides, people might throw coins in the fountain,
Yeah.
and it'd be income for the city.
That's right.
But I wanted to ask, you said your equipment or something would be a black box outside the fountain?
Yeah, there's already one there where the pool filter is. There's a
It's
black
right
box.
Right next to it?
It's, where the outer iron fence is, it's right on the edge of that. There's a black box with all the mechanisms in it. And we would put our 12-volt power supply in there and then run the safe wire through the pool.
And you'd be able to watch over it in your office?
Yeah, we can see if it doesn't work, we can go out and fix it.
One of the old complaints was that the kids every May would put soap suds,
Mm-hmm.
laundry detergent or something in the fountain, and they had got all these soap suds, so they didn't like all the bubbles. That's one of
Yeah.
the reasons they imprisoned the fountain.
Would the
Yeah.
pump be able to handle massive soap suds? The town that I lived in, some kids did the same thing,
Uh-huh.
and it eventually broke the pump.
Yeah, if it broke the pump,
And what
It'd be-
about leads and dirt and natural things?
it has a filter on the pump. It has a screen on the side of the pump. But if there's enough city water, we calculated it would use around 20 or 30,000 gallons a day, which the city uses over 1.5 million gallons a day. So it'd be like 1 or 2% of what the city uses. If they just want to power it directly from the city water supply, then no pumps would be needed at all.
Does the water go as high as the
Mhm.
water pressure?
If you take your city, like a garden hose and
Yeah.
shoot it up, it goes up about 15 feet.
Okay.
Is there any way to recycle the water use, or is that a?
That's what it's doing now. It's
Okay.
just pouring it back and then it recycles it, so it doesn't use really any water now. But if you wanted to eliminate the pump, the recycling pump, you could just power it directly from the city water, which would spray up and then go into the fountain, and then the overflow would go into the sewer. So it would just be like leaving your garden hose on all day instead of shutting it
That
off.
seems a little wasteful, like leaving a hydrant on.
Yeah, it's a little wasteful, but it might actually be cheaper than the electricity for the running the pump.
The water's valuable.
Yeah, depending on if there's a surplus of water, because the water comes from the reservoir up in the West Taconic area, and it's all gravity fed, so there's no power needed to run the water.
I would think the pump would be a better option.
Yeah, I like
We
recycling.
get a dry
the water.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If you get a dry year, it could be a problem.
Would there be a cost to repairing the fountain once you took the fencing off of it? Or is it
Easy,
easy?
talk to DPW and see what
Yeah.
it's like.
Yeah, the
They
certain.
could do it in down.
If you look at the
It has to be done
bottom,
this summer, I think, with concrete.
if you look at the bottom, it does need like resurfacing, repainting.
Yeah.
If you want people, possibly walking in there. Don't promote it, but I'm sure they will. So, that was our idea.
Could we, I had a little bit of thought about the lighting on the fountain there. This
Mhm.
was some months back. And I'm really big into art in the parks. This thing is boarded up now. They've got a platform over the top of it. And my thoughts on the issue were 4 poles outside the ring that shone down onto whatever's in the center of this thing.
Mhm.
So that in the wintertime, if they want to board it up and you want to put a Christmas tree on top of it, or a piece of sculpture, or whatever, that whole area is lit, and now there's no electricity in the fountain. We're putting our lights down on top of it. That's just
Yeah, we
something
can,
that was kicking.
yeah, we can do that. We
That
can
would-
either mount them on the nozzle going up, or we can mount them on the edge of the pool, shining into
I'm
the.
talking 15 feet in the air, so that they're
Yeah,
lighting down on the area, and now we light up this whole area, and when you're driving by it, you can see something in there rather than an illuminated fountain that may or may not attract a lot of people, but if you had something really nice in there, because the fountain, our old fountain, if it's repaired, I remember the thing when it was in the park on the corner, but not in the center, and it wasn't that great of a fountain. I mean, it's a great fountain, it's Hudson's fountain, I love it and all, everything, but it was not,
well, it depends on, how well you light it.
I'm all for your idea. I think that's absolutely wonderful. Let's take it, do it. I'm happy. But that was my other idea, is to have poles that shone down and pointed down in that area, and we light the whole thing up, and we can put anything we want, because for 5 or 6 months that thing is going to be boarded up,
Exactly.
and there's nothing there. It's
Yeah.
let's make our park pretty, because nothing's been done in this park for 70, 80 years that I can remember. If we have any opportunity to make any improvement, it should be something that's worth doing, and
Right.
it's going to last 70, 80 years.
Right.
Lighting up the area, be one. And while we're on 7th Street Park, 'cause this is getting a little bit away from the fountain, but I want to put this out now, because I'll forget and nobody will remember this and it won't get done. But we have the Christmas boxes that they're going to be putting in the park soon.
The little houses.
The little houses.
Yeah.
The problem with the little houses, even though people will spend a lot of time and energy to improve the insides of these things and make them beautiful, and you could put the Fabergé egg in one of these things.
Yeah.
The problem is the back sides of these things don't have any windows.
Yeah.
So they're only illuminated on the one side and the street side. You come up on the street side, it looks like what are these black boxes there? If somebody would get some windows out of the dump and just put them onto the back side of those boxes,
Yeah.
now you illuminate the entire area, and it'd be a much more attractive park. And I know it doesn't have anything to do with this, but I wanted to get it out there in the
We
public
did-
so that
we
that
did
idea
read
floats
it.
around, because I may not be here in 6 months, or
Right.
and then that idea doesn't get circulated. But that would improve those
Set
things.
it in front of the right guy, because I'm going to remember this now forever. I've done most of everyone's lighting, I don't know, most of the streets, the storefronts, through, Lotus Energy. And the lighting was a big question, and the reason I'm here was to ask everyone about the lighting, so I'm happy you brought that up. And the idea of having a multi-use, I didn't think of that at all. So to have a way to use that center when there's no water in there and to light it properly is a really neat idea. But I also help out with,
Dog skating.
I also volunteer every year to light the houses. I'm trying to get them to use less energy, so every year we're donating more and more LEDs to the miniature homes. So I'll be right there going in, doing the lighting, so now that you mentioned it, I'll bring it up and try to make that happen and make it light
Yeah,
up
and
all the way
we're
around.
ready to donate the pump. I don't know if we can donate all the labor between Ronnie and us. I think we can get this done for almost very little money at all. And then we can easily put it up for lights. I mean, LED lights only use like 5 watts, so you're like 20 watts, and you're going to light that whole fountain area up. So it'd be very easy to light it up with almost no cost to the city as far as electric costs.
I'm seeing a dual way, it wouldn't hurt to have the light
Have
coming
both.
from the middle and
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
a way to light it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ones in the
Yeah.
nozzle head make the water itself illuminate, which is nice.
Yeah.
But then the ones out will kind of add another layer of lighting. If you have a Christmas tree in the center, it would light that really nicely.
Or a really nice sculpture.
Or a sculpture.
Yeah, so this wouldn't
The
be,
Venus.
it would be a little flexible, let's say, for, if we could get this going, say in April or whatever the
Mhm.
time thing, then down the road, if somebody wants to put a sculpture in there, or a fountain that's spouting or something.
Or
it's
eventually restore
flexible.
it back the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this would at least be a start
Mhm.
from all of that, and not
Release the prison
Release
Yeah.
that the fountain is in now.
I don't see this as like a permanent solution.
Right.
I have not given up the dream of restoring the original
Right.
fountain.
I agree.
Or reproducing it or whatever.
Yep.
But I think this is something we could do immediately and make a significant difference.
Yeah.
And the whole notion of having it be like a wading pool that, children can play in. 'Cause
Right.
one of the things that people said in that survey about the parks was there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing for kids to do.
Yeah.
And if this is a pool that they can safely play in, it would be a great thing.
Right.
Could we have low voltage lighting along the paths as well?
Yes. Yeah, those are easy to implement. We've already done that at the Charles Williams Park, although a few of them got knocked over, but we did that. Yeah, it's a solar-powered park, hopefully the future dog park.
It's going to be
Yeah.
the future dog park.
Yeah,
It sounds
it's
like
the only park in Hudson that is completely off the grid, so we powered it with a solar panel on the roof, so the pavilion and the pathway lights are all lit up at night, every night. They've been running for 3 years with no electric bill whatsoever, so.
It sounds like you already have a really good relationship with the city,
Mm-hmm.
which is excellent. And is there anybody here that objects to going ahead with this? Take a vote or just everybody?
Ronnie, the foreman, thought it was fantastic. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going to save me so much work. I'm trying to fix these pumps all the time.
Yeah.
It's like,
And they can actually probably sell them to somebody else too, which will,
yeah, they could
bring
use
a
it
little
for some
money
other purpose.
or
Yeah.
reuse them or something.
And the fence, the big metal fence is expensive. I mean, that could be used on another park
Or the
somewhere.
dog park.
Yeah.
I do think that was the gift to the Kiwanis or something. I think we have to acknowledge them.
Mhm.
Um,
Repurpose it somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe keep people from falling onto the railroad tracks with it or something. Okay.
Okay, well,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
We've got a dog park, we've got a change to the fountain. What's next?
Well, I think we need to talk about how we're going to proceed
Yeah.
with this. So,
The nitty-gritty part. We did have some notes from David Konigsberg that I think you, just like with everybody.
I sent them to everyone whose email address we had from last time, so.
From the Central Park?
Yes.
Yes.
And we've started with several teams. We have a formation team, and Catherine, I haven't put you on it yet, but I have that you're interested.
Yes.
This would be to start the 501c3
Yeah.
and all those steps. David Voorhees, Jane Trombley, and George Corner. And I think that's a good working group for that. It's just a lot of paperwork to get it started, make sure the names are correct, and David sent me some information on that already.
Who's leading?
Well, right now I'm coordinating, but David just did 501c3 a couple of years ago.
I think you should be in charge. I don't,
Yeah.
I think you should be leading and we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
We
We'll just
decided the
meet.
first meeting.
And I'll set up, talk to you all about whatever meetings we do, and we'll get that up and running as soon as possible. And then we'll be official. It's David's talking points, really, there's a lot to do. You know, it sounds simple in one way, but we got started right, and they manage and upkeep the landscape improvements in Central Park. I mean, that's a huge organization. And supported by contributions from citizens, companies, foundations. So there's got to be ongoing fundraising, and they say it even sounds like people take responsibility for a different area. Like last time when we ran and everybody talked about their favorite park or their favorite thing they like to do. And that will be an ongoing commitment, is to keep enough energy going and keep this going with enough volunteers, so that take the responsibility off from the city, and then when everybody sees how beautiful everything's going to be, we'll always have lots of volunteers. Hopefully.
Sarah, do you have David Konigsberg's whole thing there? I
Yeah.
thought you might want to share his recommendations, which started out with a master plan.
Yeah, well, I was picking off this, but he did say, yeah, one thing here, strong fundraising, and the next thing is methodical approach, starting with a holistic 15-year restoration plan, followed by step-by-step execution. And we're feeling so confident now with our, already gotten 2 things out of the way, but yeah, definitely, when you look at all the parks and the design, keeping the city looking somewhat cohesive, not everything's separate, but that's what we're going to really need, is the talent to come in to help design a 15-year plan.
We could have a subcommittee doing that.
Well, so far we started a historic parks study team, which Carol's going to start organizing, and then a census team, which is who is using the parks and how, and that would be kind of the start, I think, of getting a planner, picking the right person.
We've got 2 landscape architects on that team already.
Okay,
I don't know.
on the census team.
Yes.
So I would think that would be the team that's going to really program all of that. And so far on that team, we have Phil McCarthy, Michael LaSawyer, Dale Schaefer, Elsa Levasseur, and Kurt Hendricks.
So Gail is a landscape architect, and I am, and I don't know about the others.
Do you want to start, help organize that?
Well, I will work
Put you
with
on the
Dale.
spot?
I'll work with Dale.
Okay.
And we both also on the Conservancy Advisory Committee, which is doing this whole huge survey, and will have all the mapping and the data and everything.
Part of the CAC, or is that?
Conservancy Advisory.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. All right.
Okay.
That's all set, and we'll have parks all planned in another 2 months.
Well, as part of a 15-year plan, that sounds like a fairly big kind of undertaking.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we do some community engagement on that?
Yeah, that would be part of it, but there's already been quite a significant amount, but then one would do a lot more. Yes.
Yeah. I think, this is a big job,
Yeah,
and
it's
figuring out
everybody's
what the steps, and
I think the survey that the CAC just published earlier this
Yeah.
week is really very helpful, and
Yes,
I mean it's a good starting point for us.
Right.
Very comprehensive.
Well,
And
yeah,
but then
yeah,
one would
it's good.
get everybody's ideas also, because everybody has ideas.
yeah, and I think, I don't want to put out this 15-year thing. It's probably in a couple of years, when you've got the planning, you start your plants, and say in 15 years the tree might be grown to where we've envisioned it, but there's going to be results way before 15 years. Take general responsibility for each area. I know last time, and I'll put that list together, the people said which park, like Peter Young is definitely the cemetery. And there's definitely people who already are ready to step up and take their favorite place. So we've got, and eventually I see fundraising and grants as another team. And that could possibly start, we don't have any volunteers for that yet, but that could start planning, because all of this is going to take money.
Do we have someone who's
going to help with actually forming the 501c3?
Yeah, that's our formation team.
Okay,
Yeah. We've got 5 people
yeah,
working on that right now.
okay.
Sarah, it seems to me one of the first things we have to do is really begin to talk with the city, because our relationship with the city is going to be very important. And what if they don't want us to do this?
I can't remember if Rick was here last time, but we will definitely keep the new, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to wait until the new administration. And I think we know already that I think DPW is open to some assistance. If not, if it's done without, like meddling and sort of dictating what needs to be done. But I think it's something that, the city will welcome.
Rob Perry's interested certainly in having help with landscape maintenance and a lot of things. I think it, but once, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and have a bulb planting party yet.
Now, on the good news front, Charlie Webster,
Yeah,
he's the guy that pushes the lawnmowers in all of the city parks.
yeah.
And he's the guy that does the weed whacking in all of the city parks. And he's been doing it for years. And he's the reason why the edges don't have any grass on them in any of our city parks. And the hair is shorter than, the military haircut.
Yeah.
Well, the good news, he's going to retire. So when he does, he'll be retiring within a year and a half. When he leaves, the new guy that comes in, it doesn't have the same obsession with the edge work that my friend Charles has.
Does he
And,
cut the
Do you know
bushes
who the
as
new
well?
guy is yet?
that's up to Ronnie down there, and somebody else new will come in, but anyway.
Well, it's a lot of that, I think that can be,
And that'd be open the door for guidance to the new guy. If we get a new guy in and train him on what to cut and what not to cut, it'll be a big help to us.
yeah.
Because, Charlie's a good guy and he's an excellent worker. He put the roof on my house. Fabulous guy. Does the work of 2 men. But he doesn't like to come back and mow the lawn again. So he
Yeah.
does it as short as possible in as quick amount of time. And he's out of there. But we gotta train the new guy coming in.
I think
Is
it's
he also
conversations.
responsible for the flat top
Yeah.
hedge trimming?
Oh, he does the hedges too, and,
We were just talking about
In the
that.
fountain park, they look like little lollipops there. They're terrible.
Along the railroad, they're like,
We did,
Yeah.
on the landfill just north of town is going to be, have a new trail connecting to Hudson and everything. There, we had to save the bobolinks. Tim O'Connor was very helpful with that. Just talking to the county, because the county maintains that, is not to mow before August. So that the bobolinks can raise their babies, and they've actually come back on the first section, so we're going to try to keep that more, but they were very responsive to that. And it keeps the ATVs off there and a few things too. So there's, I think once you just have the conversation, everybody's like, oh, okay, this is good.
Yeah, the same thing was true with the volcano mulching that DPW was doing, where you heap up the mulch so it covers, inches of the base of the tree. And it was pointed out that that was bad for the tree, and they don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, the next steps is the question, do we want to just meet with all these committees and then wait till the committees have had a chance to really put something together and then come back for a general meeting? I don't know if that would be December or January when we can have enough meetings. What do you all think is timing? I don't want to get everybody exhausted with too many committees.
Couldn't the committees meet in December and then all of us come back together in January?
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
teams would all be
Yeah,
meeting
teams, yeah.
until now and then come
Right.
back right at the beginning of January.
Yeah.
Plus, we have the Facebook page now and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's on email, so we can update everybody and if there's a need for something.
Sarah?
Yeah.
In putting together the 501c3, we have to have a board meeting. Is the board still the same board that was originally formed, or is there?
Well, right now we've been operating off the 6 of us from Mrs. Greenthumb's, but I'm not sure, I'll have to read the regulations if you have to have a board before you form a board. A board that forms
Three people.
3 people. So we have enough, we'll work on that progress as to who will become the board. And I don't know if we need bylaws also, but that would.
We do need the bylaws.
Okay.
I have a couple of bylaws to work up, but we have enough talent, I think, to just bring it all together. Don't have to reinvent the wheel and keep it going. So yeah, you have to have a good structure of people that are committed to being on the board.
Yeah, talk about the dog
So
park.
I did bring, just thinking way ahead for brochures or something, but these are put out by Mass Audubon and this is Healthy Parks or something. At some point, we could have a brochure of Hudson parks with photographs. So anything else? Any
May I
other?
talk about the dog park?
Oh, the dog parks, sorry. Our other exciting news, which,
Yes. We're getting a dog park
Hey.
in Charles Williams Park. And our goal is to be able to fence an acre of land. And that requires 836 linear feet to fence an acre of land. And then we want to divide off a quarter of the acre for small dogs and 3/4 of an acre for the big dogs. So we've talked to a person who's given us the low bid, who's going to be putting up the fence. And we have in hand with the previous GoFundMe campaign, the current GoFundMe campaign, and the amount of money that the Mrs. Greenthumb's Fund has agreed to give us. We have $13,695.47. It will cost $13,376 to fence an acre. So we still need to get a little more so that we'll have the extra 100 feet to do the separation and to do a proper little vestibule atrium entrance. So we are close to being there. And we just need to get the mayor to pull the trigger and say, it's time to do it. And it will be done. I'm sorry?
Water supply?
There will be no, at this point, at the beginning, there will be no water. People will bring their own water, which is what they do in, most dog parks. Germantown, you have to bring your own water. In Athens, there's a water source far away from the park, so people, fill up bottles of water and bring them to the park. Our goal is just to get the fencing in now. And, come summer, or spring, we can think of enhancements. Kitty Mackey has been working with me on this and representing the small dogs. I, of course, represent the large dogs. And so we were talking about the possibility, because there are some small trees that are planted in this area that we're going to use. But we took a field trip to the Kinderhook Dog Park, which has wonderful fir trees in it that are big and pruned at the bottom, so they provide shade. And I thought perhaps we should encourage everyone to buy a living Christmas tree this year, and we can plant them. We can plant them in the dog park, and eventually, those kinds of fir trees grow so very fast that not too long from now we will have the bed of needles on the ground and all the things that you have at Kinderhook. So that's the deal. We are very, very close to getting this dog park.
What will the fence look like?
What kind of fencing?
It is going to be a chain link fence. It will be black. If you look at the fence around the playground at John L., that's what it will look like. It's going to be black, not green, but black.
We could grow creepers on them, right?
Well, you could, but you don't necessarily
Yeah,
need
it
to
usually
do
destroys
that.
the fence eventually.
But, and, you know, so it'll be, you'll approach, it will take up a lot of, it'll be around the back of the park. If you've been to the park, there's a children's playground, and then there's a pavilion, and then, you know, way at the back, it kind of goes up into the landfill. Eventually it gets to the landfill. It's not the landfill quite there. But, so the fence will go along the back for 70 feet, and then along, it'll be 70 feet at the end, and however much is in between. I can't do the math quickly enough to figure out how long that, the sides will be, but there will be, you know, the typical dog park entrance. It's 10 by 10. You take your dog in and go to one side for the little dogs, the other side for the big dogs.
Is there lighting down there?
Well, there's the lighting that, but it's not, you know, dog parks are typically not open at dark,
Right.
you know, after dark, and those will be the rules. But what we need to do, and I don't know if this, you know, if this group is coming, if the group we need will come from this group, but I see a lot of dog owners here, so I think maybe it will. But we need a governing board to, you know, to look after the dog park, to make the rules, to, you know, like raise the money for the, you know, the enhancements that we'll need over time, and to, you know, do all of those things. So if we have volunteers, are you volunteering for the dog
I have a
park?
question. What kind of surface is the dog?
It's
on?
grass.
It's just going to be
Yeah.
grass. Are you going to provide some big gates for one day you want to replace that surface with something?
Well, there are actually two big gates at both ends to get the mowers in.
So you've got access.
So there will be, like, I think they're 10 feet wide.
Right.
Well, because
You'll be surprised in a couple of years.
yeah, the dogs,
It'll be like hard
they
pan.
wait on it.
But the Germantown dog run is grass.
Yeah.
Maybe it's,
So
maybe the use
is,
is
so
like
is the one in Athens. They're both grass, and they're not,
How, in comparison with Germantown, how, is that about the same size? And it
Mhm.
can't, is it
yeah,
an acre?
Germantown is an acre, yeah. And so is the Athens Park. It's just a different shape. The Germantown Park is almost a rectangle. Athens, it's kind of a weird trapezoid. And ours is going to end up being a little bit of a trapezoid too, but.
Hooks is really large.
Like
Way
really
large,
large.
yeah. It's really what they call the gold standard of dog parks, the one in Falacia.
But one thing that we've been assured, we can always expand our dog park.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, I mean,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
I mean, right now, we're
No, I
working
just meant-
within, you know, the money we've got, and I'm thrilled that we are so close to having enough money to fence an acre. That's my job.
Okay. Any other business to bring up or new ideas? Project we can get finished by next month?
The only,
Can I just expand on the dog run thing?
Yeah.
The board of directors, the board that you were talking about, is that something that's going to be decided now, or are you just looking for?
I'm asking for volunteers,
I
yeah.
volunteer.
Okay. I sort of figured you.
And that would be separate from the Parks
That's what I was
Conservancy.
just saying,
It needs to
right?
be a
It's too
separate-
big a
Yeah.
project on its own, really,
But
to,
you could have it under the umbrella, though, of, for the 501c3 status, so you could get the tax deduction.
That's
yeah, I
a
don't
very
know,
good
are we
idea.
using, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah, yeah,
You're on the committee.
no, because,
That's what we have you on the committee.
That's very interesting.
the connection to the dog park, I think that's something we should be working on getting done from the end of 3rd Street down.
Oh, you mean the
Stairs.
switchback from the end of Third, yeah.
Yeah.
right now, it's, everybody's going to be driving there, and there's an adequate parking space for about 4 or 5 cars, which is kind of standard for a dog park.
It will be so much more accessible for people to walk.
Oh, absolutely. And for the people who use the playing field.
And I think that's something, because the census team is not only parks, but what you're talking about is the connections. So that part of that census, to add those connections, and the trails that are going north and south, and all of that for the future.
Is the DRI
supposed
to be adding a connection from Allen Street down? Is that?
Well, that's the stairs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already there, but they're going to be improving the stairs. But speaking of connections, a number of us went on a hike at Oakdale last Sunday. And that is most fascinating because it's an incredible place. I had never been there before. And it's something that we need to draw more attention to, because it's like, walking in the woods, but you're in the city of Hudson. And I just find it just amazing. And also, talking about connections, I think it is possible to connect Oakdale with a hiking path down beside Underhill and, down where Lucille Drive is, down to, Charles Williams Park. So you could do this whole nature trail hike within the city of Hudson.
Yeah, it's beautiful back.
And in the summer, the kids' beach there is actually more of a waterfront than we have access to.
At the waterfront.
Well, it's a waterfront.
There's lots of activity, and it's.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lifeguard and sand.
But you do have, they told us about it, and I've also heard that there's a kind of a homeless camp up
Yeah,
back
we
in
saw
there.
a little of it, right?
Yeah, but I think it's active in the summer.
Oh, sure, yeah. Probably.
It had mild activity this summer.
Really?
Very mild activity at the camp up there at Oakdale this year. The summer before, there was a lot of people living there. See, it's so close to social services and the liquor store. And a lot of social services people, that social services places out in the county, come into social services, and then they have nowhere to go, so that was a lot of the use there.
Yeah, I think that's understandable.
But this year, the use was relatively light. I don't know, the police had been in there, had been a few fires, and I guess the cops got tired of the people, having bonfires, and then the people in the neighborhood would call, and then the fire trucks would show up there. And so the use there was really light this year. I ride my bicycle through there, so that's how I know.
Yeah.
I didn't see much activity this year,
Yeah.
compared to the year before.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Well,
Do we need to ask people, well, I guess the organization of each group and when they're going to meet will happen someplace else.
and if you haven't signed up for a team or want to be on a team, put your name on the sign-up sheet.
It's not easy.
Yeah.